Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A name given to a product or service. A symbol of disgrace or infamy. A piece of wood that has been burned or is burning. Mark with a brand or trademark. When this product is not branded, it sells for a lower price. To accuse or condemn or openly or formally or brand as disgraceful. Mark or expose as infamous. She was branded a loose woman. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. A recognizable kind. There's a new brand of hero in the movies now. Burn with a branding iron to indicate ownership of animals. Identification mark on skin, made by burning. A name given to a product or service. A name given to a product or service. A name given to a product or service. Celebrate by some ceremony or observation. The citizens mark the anniversary of the revolution with a march and a parade. Insert punctuation marks into. Establish as the highest level or best performance. Assign a grade or rank to, according to one's evaluation. Mark homework. Remove from a list. A symbol of disgrace or infamy. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain. A visible indication made on a surface. Some previous reader had covered the pages with dozens of marks. A person who is gullible and easy to take advantage of. A number or letter indicating quality, especially of a student's performance. She made good marks in algebra. A perceptible indication of something not immediately apparent, as a visible clue that something has happened. Something that exactly succeeds in achieving its goal. Hit the mark. An indication of damage. Formerly the basic unit of money in Germany. A distinguishing symbol. The owner's mark was on all the sheep. Apostle and companion of St. Peter, assumed to be the author of the second gospel. To accuse or condemn or openly or formally or brand as disgraceful. A marking that consists of lines that cross each other. Make small marks into the surface of. A reference point to shoot at. His arrow hit the mark. The shortest of the four Gospels in the New Testament. Put a check mark on or near or next to. Mark off the units. Be a distinctive feature, attribute, or trait, sometimes in a very positive sense. Attach a tag or label to. Notice or perceive. Mark my words. Mark with a scar. Make underscoring marks. A written or printed symbol, as for punctuation. His answer was just a punctuation mark. Designate as if by a mark. This sign marks the border. Make or leave a mark on. The scouts marked the trail. The impression created by doing something unusual or extraordinary that people notice and remember. It was in London that he made his mark. An act that brings discredit to the person who does it. A soiled or discolored appearance. The wine left a dark stain. A symbol of disgrace or infamy. Make dirty or spotty, as by exposure to air, also used metaphorically. The state of being covered with unclean things. Color for microscopic study. Color with a liquid dye or tint. People knew how to stain glass a beautiful blue in the Middle Ages. Microscopy. A dye or other coloring material that is used in microscopy to make structures visible. Produce or leave stains. Red wine stains the tablecloth. A symbol of disgrace or infamy. An external tracheal aperture in a terrestrial arthropod. A skin lesion that is a diagnostic sign of some disease. The apical end of the style where deposited pollen enters the pistil. A piece of wood that has been burned or is burning. Someone who deliberately foments trouble. Mark with a brand or trademark. Mark with a brand or trademark. A distinctive characteristic or attribute. A formally registered symbol identifying the manufacturer or distributor of a product. Register the trademark of. The company trademarked their new gadget. To accuse or condemn or openly or formally or brand as disgraceful. He denounced the government action. Give away information about somebody. Announce the termination of, as of treaties. Speak out against. He denounced the Nazis. Mark with a stigma or stigmata. To accuse or condemn or openly or formally or brand as disgraceful. Mark with a stigma or stigmata. They wanted to stigmatize the adulteress. To accuse or condemn or openly or formally or brand as disgraceful. She was stigmatized by society because she had a child out of wedlock. A job in an organization. He occupied a post in the Treasury. Mark with a stake. Transfer, entries, from one account book to another. United States manufacturer of breakfast cereals and postum, 1854 to 1914. United States female author who wrote a book in a syndicated newspaper column on etiquette, 1872 to 1960. Military installation at which a body of troops is stationed. This military post provides an important source of income for the town nearby. Cause to be directed or transmitted to another place. Assigned to a station. A pole or stake set up to mark something, as the start or end of a racetrack. A pair of posts marked the goal. The system whereby messages are transmitted via the post office. In England they call mail, the post. Place so as to be noticed. Post a sign. Mark or expose as infamous. Any particular collection of letters or packages that is delivered. Is there any post for me? The position where someone, as a guard or sentry, stands or is assigned to stand. A soldier manned the entrance post. United States aviator who in 1933 made the first solo flight around the world, 1899 to 1935. Affix in a public place or for public notice. Post a warning. An upright consisting of a piece of timber or metal fixed firmly in an upright position. He set a row of posts in the ground and strung barbed wire between them. Assigned to a post. Put into a post. The newspaper posted him in Timbuktu. Display, as of records in sports games. Enter on a public list. Publicize with, or as if with, a poster. I'll post the news on the bulletin board. Ride Western style and bob up and down in the saddle in rhythm with a horse's trotting gait. The delivery and collection of letters and packages. It came by the first post. Especially a leaf of grass or the broad portion of a leaf is distinct from the petiole. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. Flat surface that rotates and pushes against air or water. A broad flat body part, as of the shoulder or tongue. A cut of beef from the shoulder blade. A dashing young man. Gay young blades bragged of their amorous adventures. Something long and thin resembling a blade of grass. A blade of lint on his suit. The flat part of a tool or weapon that, usually, has a cutting edge. The part of the skate that slides on the ice. Get ready for something difficult or unpleasant. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. An alloy of iron with small amounts of carbon, widely used in construction. Mechanical properties can be varied over a wide range. Cover, plate, or edge with steel. Knife sharpener consisting of a ridged steel rod. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. Put in order or neaten. Make the bed. Eliminate urine. Have a bowel movement. Institute, enact, or establish. Make laws. Create by artistic means. Make by combining materials and parts. Give certain properties to something. Don't make this into a big deal. Create or design, often in a certain way. Charge with a function. Charge to be. Induce to have sex. Head into a specified direction. Achieve a point or goal. Earn on some commercial or business transaction. Earn as salary or wages. How much do you make a month in your new job? Represent fictitiously, as in a play, or pretend to be or act like. She makes like an actress. Proceed along a path. Make one's way into the forest. The act of mixing cards haphazardly. Reach a goal. Make the first team. Organize or be responsible for. Have, throw, or make a party. Give rise to. Cause to happen or occur, not always intentionally. Make a stir. Make, formulate, or derive in the mind. Make an estimate. Reach a destination, either real or abstract. Engage in. Make love, not war. Cause to do. Cause to act in a specified manner. Prepare for eating by applying heat. Can you make me an omelet? A recognizable kind. What make of car is that? To compose or represent. This makes a fine introduction. Make or cause to be or to become. Make a mess in one's office. Create or manufacture a man-made product. Act in a certain way so as to acquire. Make friends. Add up to. 4 and 4 make 8. Amount to. This salary increase makes no difference to my standard of living. Appear to begin an activity. Assure the success of. A good review by this critic will make your play. Behave in a certain way. Make merry. Be or be capable of being changed or made into. He makes a great host. Be suitable for. Wood makes good furniture. Calculate as being. I make the height about 100 feet. Carry out or commit. Make a mistake. Cause to be enjoyable or pleasurable. Make my day. Change from one form into another. Make water into wine. Compel or make somebody or something to act in a certain way. Heat makes you sweat. Consider as being. Constitute the essence of. Clothes make the man. Develop into. He will make a splendid father. Favor the development of. Practice makes the winner. Form by assembling individuals or constituents. Gather and light the materials for. Make a fire. Make by shaping or bringing together constituents. Make a dress. Perform or carry out. Make a decision. Reach in time. Undergo fabrication or creation. This wool makes into a nice sweater. Assign a specified, usually proper name to. They named their son David. Give or make a list of. Name individually. Give the names of. Give the name or identifying characteristics of. Refer to by name or some other identifying characteristic property. Many senators were named in connection with the scandal. Family based on male descent. He had no sons and there was no one to carry on his name. Determine or distinguish the nature of a problem or an illness through a diagnostic analysis. Charge with a function. Charge to be. She was named head of the committee. Identify as in botany or biology, for example. A defamatory or abusive word or phrase. A well-known or notable person. They studied all the great names in the history of France. Make reference to. His name was mentioned in connection with the invention. Create and charge with a task or function. A language unit by which a person or thing is known. His name really is George Washington. A person's reputation. He wanted to protect his good name. By the sanction or authority of. Halt in the name of the law. Mention and identify by name. Name your accomplices. Something visible that by association or convention represents something else that is invisible. The eagle is a symbol of the United States. An arbitrary sign, written or printed, that has acquired a conventional significance. Wood used for fuel. They collected and cut their own firewood. trade name of a company that produces musical recordings. The artists and repertoire department of a recording label is responsible for finding new talent. Pronounce judgment on. They labeled him unfit to work here. Attach a tag or label to. Label these bottles. A brief description given for purposes of identification. The label modern is applied to many different kinds of architecture. An identifying or descriptive marker that is attached to an object. A radioactive isotope that is used in a compound in order to trace the mechanism of a chemical reaction. Assign a label to. Designate with a label. These students were labeled, learning disabled. Distinguish, an element or atom, by using a radioactive isotope or an isotope of unusual mass for tracing through chemical reactions. Distinguish, as a compound or molecule, by introducing a labeled atom. A label written or printed on paper, cardboard, or plastic that is attached to something to indicate its owner, nature, price, etc. Go after with the intent to catch. A small piece of cloth or paper. Attach a tag or label to. A game in which one child chases the others. The one who is caught becomes the next chaser. A label associated with something for the purpose of identification. Semantic tags were attached in order to identify different meanings of the word. Provide with a name or nickname. Sports. The act of touching a player in a game, which changes their status in the game. Supply, blank verse or prose, with rhymes. Touch a player while he is holding the ball. Assign a specified, usually proper name to. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Order, request, or command to come. She was called into the director's office. Utter a sudden loud cry. Pay a brief visit. The mayor likes to call on some of the prominent citizens. The option to buy a given stock, or stock index or commodity future, at a given price before a given date. A demand by a broker that a customer deposit enough to bring his margin up to the minimum requirement. A demand especially in the phrase. The call of duty. A telephone connection. She reported several anonymous calls. A loud utterance, often in protest or opposition. Greet, as with a prescribed form, title, or name. She calls him by first name. Demand payment of a loan. Give the calls to the dancers for a square dance. Get or try to get into communication with someone by telephone. I tried to call you all night. The characteristic sound produced by a bird. Make a demand, as for a card or a suit or a show of hands. He called his trump. A brief social visit. Senior professors' wives no longer make afternoon calls on newcomers. A demand for a show of hands in a card game. After 2 raises there was a call. An instruction that interrupts the program being executed. Pascal performs calls by simply giving the name of the routine to be executed. A request. Many calls for Christmas stories. Ascribe a quality to or give a name of a common noun that reflects a quality. He called me a bastard. A special disposition, as if from a divine source, to pursue a particular course. A visit in an official or professional capacity. The pastor's calls on his parishioners. Call a meeting. Invite or command to meet. The 1C conference was called to discuss the final solution. Challenge somebody to make good on a statement, charge with or censure for an offense. He deserves to be called on that. Challenge the sincerity or truthfulness of. Call the speaker on a question of fact. Consider or regard as being. I would not call her beautiful. Declare in the capacity of an umpire or referee. Call a runner out. Indicate a decision in regard to. Call balls and strikes behind the plate. Lure by imitating the characteristic call of an animal. Make a stop in a harbor. The ship will call in Honolulu tomorrow. Order or request or give a command for. The unions called a general strike for Sunday. Order, summon, or request for a specific duty or activity, work, role. He was already called 4 times for jury duty. Read aloud to check for omissions or absentees. Require the presentation of for redemption before maturation. Rouse somebody from sleep with a call. I was called at 5 a.m. this morning. Send a message or attempt to reach someone by radio, phone, etc. Make a signal to in order to transmit a message. Hawaii is calling. Sports, the decision made by an umpire or referee. He was ejected for protesting the call. Stop or postpone because of adverse conditions, such as bad weather. Call a football game. Utter a characteristic note or cry. Blue jays called to one another. Utter in a loud voice or announce. He called my name. Any instrument or instrumentality used in fighting or hunting. He was licensed to carry a weapon. A means of persuading or arguing. He used all his conversational weapons. Any instrument or instrumentality used in fighting or hunting. Any projection that is thought to resemble a human arm. The arm of the record player. A division of some larger or more complex organization. The part of a garment that is attached at the armhole and that provides a cloth covering for the arm. Prepare oneself for a military confrontation. A human limb. Technically the part of the superior limb between the shoulder and the elbow, but commonly used to refer to the whole superior limb. Supply with arms. The U.S. armed the freedom fighters in Afghanistan. The part of an armchair or sofa that supports the elbow and forearm of a seated person. Any instrument or instrumentality used in fighting or hunting. An operation that segregates items into groups according to a specified criterion. The bottleneck in mail delivery is the process of sorting. Arrange or order by classes or categories. Examine in order to test suitability. A category of things distinguished by some common characteristic or quality. An approximate definition or example. She wore a sort of magenta dress. A person of a particular character or nature. What sort of person is he? A collection containing a variety of sorts of things. He had a variety of disorders. A show consisting of a series of short unrelated performances. A category of things distinguished by some common characteristic or quality. Noticeable heterogeneity. The range and variety of his work is amazing. A difference that is usually pleasant. He goes to France for variety. Biology. A taxonomic category consisting of members of a species that differ from others of the same species in minor but heritable characteristics. The visual appearance of something or someone. A perceptual structure. The composition presents problems for students of musical form. The phonological or orthographic sound or appearance of a word that can be used to describe or identify something. The inflected forms of a word can be represented by a stem in a list of inflections to be attached. Make something, usually for a specific function. Any spatial attributes, especially as defined by outline. Establish or impress firmly in the mind. A body of students who are taught together. Create, as an entity. Social groups form everywhere. Biology. A group of organisms within a species that differ in trivial ways from similar groups. A category of things distinguished by some common characteristic or quality. Sculpture is a form of art. A life-size dummy used to display clothes. Develop into a distinctive entity. Alternative names for the body of a human being. The spatial arrangement of something is distinct from its substance. To compose or represent. This wall forms the background of the stage setting. Give shape or form to. Form the young child's character. Physical chemistry. A distinct state of matter in a system. Matter that is identical in chemical composition and physical state and separated from other material by the phase boundary. A mold for setting concrete. They built elaborate forms for pouring the foundation. An ability to perform well. He was at the top of his form. An arrangement of the elements in a composition or discourse. The essay was in the form of a dialogue. A particular mode in which something is manifested. His resentment took the form of extreme hostility. A printed document with spaces in which to write. He filled out his tax form. Assume a form or shape. The water formed little beads. Agreeable, conducive to comfort. A dry climate kind to asthmatics. Tolerant and forgiving under provocation. Our neighbor was very kind about the window our son broke. A category of things distinguished by some common characteristic or quality. What kinds of desserts are there? Having or showing a tender and considerate and helpful nature, used especially of persons and their behavior. Kind to sick patients.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.